Hi you guys, we are working on section 10.4 if you are in the same book as we are in class. And today's essential question that we're focusing on is how can you find the number of possible outcomes? So go ahead and write that down and set up your notebook for today. Make sure you have nice looking notes. How can you find the number of possible outcomes? So we're working in class on probability. We're talking about likelihood and what's the probability of something happening. And we're going to continue that discussion today in this video. And we're going to talk about something called sample space. So our main idea over here is sample space. And in math, when we're talking about a sample space, what we're really talking about is the set of all possible outcomes for one or more events. So when you're doing something like rolling a dice, flipping a coin, drawing a marble out of a bag, what are all the possible things that could happen? So our definition over here is all possible outcomes of an event. So it's all the things that can possibly happen. And I'm going to give you a few examples of that today and kind of practice it too with you. So we're going to be talking about sample space, and we're going to be talking about what is the sample space in certain situations. So let's do an example for our notes. I'm going to write example 1. And I don't know about you, but I love pizza. I could eat pizza any day. So we are going to do a pizza problem, and we're going to look at what's the sample space. So when you order pizza online, which is going to be our topic, order pizza, you often have lots of choices. So I want to know what's the sample space when you order a pizza. What are all the possible choices that you could get? So let's get into what are our choices. First off, you get to choose your crust. And then second, you get to pick your toppings. Now, we could make this very complicated, but at this moment in time, we're going to order a pizza that is a 1-topping pizza. So order pizza, we're going to go for a 1-topping. You've got a coupon, it's $5 for a 1-topping pizza, you're excited to buy it. What are your choices? So at this particular store that we are ordering from, there's really only 2 types of crust. You can either get thin or you can get stuffed. What type do you like, thin or stuffed? And then toppings, they have a whole list of toppings and choices. You can do pepperoni. You can get any kind of veggies, really. So our veggie choices are you can do peppers, you can do onions, you can get jalapenos and go for some spice. Jalapenos. I like jalapenos. You can do ham. Another choice that you might have is you might be able to do like pineapple. Okay, so we've made a list of toppings. So we have your crust and your toppings. And what we're going to do is we're going to find what's the sample space. So what's the sample space? What that means is what are all the possible pizzas you could possibly order? What are all the different choices? So to show this, we're going to use what's called a tree diagram. A tree diagram is kind of a visual. So we call it a tree with 2 E's. I don't know what I'm writing there. A tree diagram. And we call it a tree because it looks like it has branches. It looks like it has all these like branches like a tree would have. So here's our tree diagram. When you get online and you order your pizza, your first decision is you're either going to do thin or you're going to do stuffed crust. So you're either going to choose thin or I'll write down here stuffed. Those are your 2 choices, really, honestly. And then from there, you pick your toppings. So remember our list of toppings? We had pepperoni, peppers, onions, jalapenos, ham, and pineapple. So for a thin crust, you could get the pepperoni. I'll draw my branch, my tree branch. You could get peppers. You could go for onions. You could do the jalapenos. You could do the ham or the pineapple. Do you see why this is called a tree diagram? It looks like branches coming off of a tree. So you could do thin crust pepperoni, thin with peppers, thin with onions, thin with jalapenos, thin with ham, or thin with pineapple. Or you could be like, no, 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 I'm going to do stuffed crust with pepperoni. Or I'm going to do stuffed crust with peppers. Or I'm going to do stuffed crust with onions or jalapenos or ham or pineapple. Now imagine if we were doing a 2-topping pizza, how much more complicated this would get. So here's kind of all of our choices. We've made a big old tree diagram. I see I could do thin crust with any of these or stuffed crust with any of these. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 12 total possible outcomes. So over here I'm going to write there are 12 total possible outcomes. That is our sample space. There are 12 types of pizzas you could order from this place if you're going for a 1 topping. So our tree diagram is this part right here, and it's very visual. It takes a little bit of writing, but it's a great way of showing your work. And I know that you're like, a lot of people get, I don't want to say lazy, but kind of get lazy and don't want to write out the full word pepperoni, peppers. They want to shorten it. But if you just write P, that's kind of confusing because then it's like, well, does the P stand for pepperoni? Does the P stand for peppers? Which one is it? So I think it's better to write it out or at least come up with a little bit of a better system for that. And that's it. That's a tree diagram. So now you get to try. I'm going to give you a you try problem, and you're going to create your own tree diagram. So let's write you try. And your directions are make a tree diagram. So make a tree diagram to show all possible outcomes. To show all possible outcomes. Okay, so here is your situation. You're making your tree diagram for ordering sandwiches at a sandwich shop. And the sandwich choices are, you get to choose your bread and you get to choose what kind of meat you want. So your choices are wheat or white bread, depending on what your favorite is. And for meat, you can choose ham, turkey, roast beef, or tuna. So what I want you to do is hit the pause button on your device right now and go ahead and make your own tree diagram to represent the situation. All right, go ahead and do it. All right, you should be unpausing your video at this current time, and we are going to look and see how you did here. So first thing is this. When you're at the store, you get to choose if you're going to do wheat or white bread. So what I'm going to do for my tree diagram is I'm going to write wheat, and I'm going to spread out down here, and I'm going to write white. Now if you're just like, I'm going to be healthy today, I'm choosing wheat bread, that's great. Then you have to choose which of the 4 you want. Is it going to be ham? Is it going to be turkey? Is it going to be roast beef? Or are you going to go for tuna? Those are your choices. If you decided to go with white bread, you still have those same choices. You can do white bread with ham. You can do white bread with turkey. You can do white bread with roast beef. Or you can do white bread with tuna. That's your tree diagram. So now we have our diagram, John. How many outcomes are there? Well, wheat with ham is 1. Wheat with turkey is 2. Wheat with roast is 3. Wheat with tuna is 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then white with ham, that's 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 possible outcomes. So we're going to write there are 8 possible outcomes. And there you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that is a tree diagram, and it's just an easy way of showing what are all the options. This could get much more complicated much quicker. Let me show you before we wrap up this video how I could have made this problem more complicated. I could have said, okay, your choices are bread and meat, but you also, at the end, get a choice of cheese. And we have 2 cheeses in store today. We've got classic cheddar, or for those of you that like a little spicier, pepper jack. Now if I added this onto the menu, think about how this would change our problem. Now when you go to do your diagram, when you pick a wheat with ham, your ham could be with cheddar, or your ham could be with pepper jack. All right, jack. When you do a wheat with turkey, it could be with cheddar, or it could be with jack. Roast beef could be with cheddar, or it could be with jack. Do you see how this starts getting bigger? So our wheat with tuna could be with cheddar, and I hope you're adding this to yours also, or jack. If you did white and ham, same choices, cheddar or jack. Turkey would be with cheddar or jack. Roast beef would be with cheddar. We just kind of follow this pattern, and jack. Or tuna's with cheddar and jack. Oops, what I'm writing there, jack. So now how many outcomes are there? Oh man, we just got way bigger. Okay, so now you could do a wheat, ham, cheddar, or a wheat, ham, jack. That's 2. Wheat, turkey, cheddar, or a wheat, turkey, jack. A wheat roast beef cheddar or a wheat roast beef jack. You see all these choices? A wheat tuna cheddar or a wheat tuna jack. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 choices with the wheat, and then, oh wait, that's actually down below. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 choices with the wheat, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 total choices. So it went from 8 possible outcomes to 16 possible outcomes. So with cheese, there are 16 possible outcomes. There are 16 possible outcomes. And our diagram just got much bigger. All right, guys, so now you get to try one with a little bit of a bigger tree diagram to it. And this will be our last you try for the video. So go ahead one more time at the top, write you try. This is the best way to see if you're understanding is just pause the video and try it all by yourself and then check your answer. Seriously, one of the best study guides. Like if you're just watching the video constantly and never pausing to think on your own, you're not getting nearly as much as you could from this information. So same directions, you're going to make a tree diagram to show all possible solutions. So make a tree diagram. Make a tree diagram to show all possible outcomes. Make a tree diagram to show all possible outcomes. This time, we're going to change it up and go with a new theme here. Instead of ordering food at a restaurant, we're going to be picking out classes, our high school classes. What are we going to take first semester? So here are your choices. You have 3 classes that you're going to take during first semester at school. So we'll say class period 1. And then we'll say class period 2. And then we have our class period 3. So 3 different class periods. And here are the choices. For period 1, you can choose between a keyboarding class. There's a keyboard class. Or if you're not interested in keyboarding, we've got a, that's like a typing class. Keyboarding is your typing class. If that's something you're not interested in, then we've got another class on how to use Microsoft. So you get to choose what kind of tech class you want to take. keyboarding or Microsoft class. Okay, then for class period number 2, this is where you get to choose your math class, and the choices this year are you can take an algebra class, or you can take geometry, or you can take a class called applied math. There are 3 choices. And then for class period 3, it's your science choices, and science choices this year are biology, or you can take chemistry. All right, so at this point, you're going to pause your device again, and you're going to make a bigger tree diagram to represent this situation. And how many actual options are there for your schedule if you were scheduling your 3 classes? So go ahead and hit the pause button right now and see if you can do this. All right, let's check your answer. So here we go. We're going to check how your tree diagram turned out. Your first choice is you get to choose between keyboarding or a Microsoft class. So I'm going to write keyboard or Microsoft. Okay? And then from there, you went off to period 2 and you're taking one of these math classes. You're either taking algebra, geometry, or applied math. Those are your 3 choices. So you're either doing keyboarding with algebra, keyboarding with geometry, or keyboarding with applied math. Or you're doing Microsoft with algebra, Microsoft with geometry, or Microsoft with applied math. And then from there you have to pick science class. You're either doing biology or chemistry. Those are your choices. So you're either taking algebra with biology, I'll say bio, or chem. So bio or chem. Bio or chem. Let's see, bio or chem. Biology or chemistry. Biology or chemistry. And here is your final tree diagram. So you should have something that looks pretty similar to this. And if you were like a high school counselor in charge of scheduling all the classes, this might be something you have to do to run through all the options. So look, a kid could be like, okay, I'm going to take keyboarding, applied math, and biology. That could be their schedule. Or I'm going to do keyboarding, geometry, chemistry. Or keyboarding, algebra, chemistry. Or maybe I'm going to do the Microsoft class with applied math and biology. These are all options. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 total outcomes. So the answer is there are 12 possible outcomes. There are 12 possible outcomes. All right, and that is our final answer. Now, if you're like, I'm starting to see some shortcuts in here, that's a really good thing because in the next video, we're going to look at what those shortcuts are. But the tree diagram is very classic. It's a great way to show your work, and it's a great way to problem solve when you can't like figure out what all the outcomes are. It's just really easy to do. So I hope you kind of understood how to make a tree diagram, and that sample space is all possible outcomes. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks, guys. Bye.